Okay, so here we have the chapter 6 conclusion. And the conclusion is easy because it's really like wrapping up everything you have done, plus extra ideas of what you could do more. So let's start with this. I am again, my tip is that you divide the chapter 6 conclusion into 5 sections that are important because they appear in the rubric, in both the assignment and also in the thesis rubric. So don't miss any of them. Start with a wrap up. I think this is a bit repetitive, but in the conclusion, try to summarize everything you have done. Like, why did you start this project? You only need like one sentence to say that like there is not a lot of attention in this specific topic in this context, which is problematic because we don't know what will happen in this specific situation. We only know in that. So maybe 1, 2 sentences stating the purpose of your research, then explain what did you do. You did a quant research to test a hypothesis and a qualitative research to test and to understand what and how, no, sorry, not what, how and why this relates. And what are your, what did you learn from this, which is basically kind of your theoretical contribution. So it's like trying to summarize everything you have done in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences. So very short. Don't go too far. You don't need to write again that much. Try to summarize everything you did in 6 sentences. Then limitations. Every research has its limitations. We cannot do every possible test. We cannot do, you learn in the workshops, you told me, what if we do this? What if we do that? And I told you, we have to move forward. We have to find a way to make it work. So that idea is good, but for the purpose of this study, we need to do it like that. For example, some of you told me, why don't we do our own survey? And I told you that sounds good. You could do it, but for the course, we need to collect data for everyone. And so it's better if we use one single survey. So maybe write in their limitations. Like that is a limitation, that instead of developing one survey for each project, we actually had one big survey. That can be a quantitative limitation. Another limitation maybe in qualitative is that you only interview 2 people. That's not a lot of people. So maybe you didn't have a lot of data. You could find more concepts with more data. So that can be also a limitation. The time limitation that you had, you only had like a week to do the interviews and you only did 2. So maybe discuss that. It's important in limitations, not only for this project, but also in your thesis, that you should be sure that your limitations are just limitations, not weaknesses, because weaknesses is something that will reduce your grade and can put you in fail on risk of failing. So it's just a limitation. We did a big survey because that's how this we needed to make it work like that. That is not really a weakness, it's just a limitation. Our variables work, they all have their Cronbach alpha, they all work well. We do the statistics in there and the model works. It's not wrong, it's not weak, it's just a limitation. Maybe it could have been better in another way. So talk about that, not weaknesses, but limitations. Then the next section is connected with limitations, because based on those limitations, what would you do better with more resources, with more time? So it's very easy. If you wanted to do your own survey for future research, well, I mean, if the limitation is that we didn't have our own surveys, like we have a big survey, future research, you will do a specific survey for your topic, or you can do a follow-up, or you can do 10 interviews, or you can interview the whole classroom if you have more time. So that's future research ideas. I think it's very easy to write these 2 things because there are many limitations and there are many ideas for future research. You just have to be coherent, but it's not that difficult. So 1 paragraph in this, 1 paragraph in here. And then these other 2 sections are also easy, I think. Practical implications and societal implications. Let's start with practical implications. So what can we learn as practitioners from what you have done? It depends on your topic. If you did the sustainable consumer behavior, maybe retailers will be interested on that. If you did the global mindset, maybe it is universities who will be careful on that, or who like to read. So maybe you can say like, we identified that the biases are relevant in social responsible investment. So maybe investment funds need to be aware of biases because they play an important factor on deciding on the intentions of social responsible investment. So think a little bit on that. What will be interesting for a practitioner? You don't need to write a lot, maybe 2 points, 3 points that will be interested, 1 paragraph in total for practical implications. And very similar, but at a broader perspective, societal implications. So what can society learn from all of this? It's a bit broader thing, but it's the same idea. If for general society, maybe policymakers here can be interested on what you have done, maybe 2 points again that you discuss in 1 paragraph. That's it. So again, I think the conclusion is much easier to write. 1 wrap up of 1 paragraph, limitations 1 paragraph, 2 or 3 limitations, discuss them. Future research, the same, this 2 or 3 limitations tackling, 2 or 3 future research ideas tackling the limitations from the previous paragraph. Some ideas for practical implications, 2 or 3, societal implications the same. So the conclusion should be around 5 paragraphs. So it shouldn't be that long. Again, I think at this stage, as I said in the previous video, the discussion might take some time because you need to be sure that you are discussing with the right literature, like the things that you think might be useful for general knowledge, you are actually unpacking them and discuss them. So it can take some time. But as you can see, it's kind of just reporting. You have the data, you have your findings. I mean, here you need to think a little bit. And in here is just writing a few things that you need to write. And that's how it will be in your thesis. The conclusion usually comes easy. If you have trouble writing your conclusion, it's because maybe you have a problem in the previous sections. If you cannot write this paragraph, maybe you have a problem in the whole thesis because maybe you don't understand what you're actually doing. Maybe you don't understand what's the problem that you want to tackle. Maybe you don't understand your methodology. So if that happens, be careful because probably you need to spend some time revising what's wrong, what do you have. It's also kind of a good way to test that you're doing it right. So that's it for the group assignment. I guess the last video will be about preparing for the defense, the presentation. But so far for the submission, I think you are covered now. So that's all for now.